Welcome back to In the Nest with the Crow. I'm Dave Crow, and it feels really good to say that again. But today we have our first episode of 2025. It's another relationships episode. So, in this episode, we brought on Emily Morgan, an actress from Jacksonville, Florida, to talk about right person, wrong time, as well as first dates. So, in this episode, you're going to hear a couple of repeat questions that I asked in some of my previous episodes, like when I asked the guys and girls in the first couple of episodes, as well as maybe some from when I talked with Katrina about the guy best friend. There's something that I'm going based off of that episode as well. And yeah, mainly just talking about right person, wrong time, and first dates. So, let's get into it. All right. So, I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about was right person, wrong time. And the reason why I bring that up is because there's a lot of people who will say that if they were the right person, there wouldn't be a wrong time. I honestly disagree with that.
Okay. I so I don't know. feel like I have a few different perspectives with the right person, wrong time kind of thing because I live my life of everything happens for a reason, right? So it's essentially I don't think there's ever a wrong person in your life. Um, However, maybe it's the right person, right time for whatever the thing is that whatever the lesson is that the universe like needs you to know, I guess. Essentially, like if we're thinking relationship wise, right? And I'm thinking back on all of my exes. Yeah, do I regret dating some of them? Definitely. However, do I think that they that they were in my life at that time for a specific reason? Yes, because it taught me what I don't want or what I do want or what I could maybe go a different way about. That kind of thing. I guess maybe you could say like wrong person, right time in that sense of everything.
Right.
Um, yeah. And again, like if you are thinking the right person, wrong time mindset, if you are meant to be with a person, if a person is meant to be in your life one way or whatever, um, I would say that you will find that person again if it was the wrong time. However, you might not find them again. And yeah.
Right. So I guess like a reason I bring that up is because like I have talked about this with some of my friends and like my old roommates, and it's like I feel like I've said that there could always be a wrong time, but there's not ever going to be a right time when it comes to a relationship. And that's why I think that when you say right person, wrong time, it's like you could like I mean, there was at one point I met a girl who when I met her, I wasn't in the best mindset because I was still healing from a past talking stage, and that to me was not the right time. But
Yeah.
does that mean
Yeah.
they were the wrong person? No.
Yeah, just it just might not have been, I guess, not the right time for that person to be in your life romantically or whatever way. Um, wow, I was thinking of something in my brain whenever you just said that, and it completely got wiped from me. Um, but no, I definitely do think, people are placed in your life, and whether that is something that needs to maybe not be until later or something that just happens and then fizzles out. Like I think everybody is everybody is sent to you, whatever you believe in, if it's God, if it's just like power in the universe, like whatever. I think whatever is like meant to be for you, it's sent to you and however you need it.
So another thing that I was kind of thinking about was this could also be like, let's say this was a transition from high school to college. Like that's not the same person. And maybe the transition from college into the real world, that's also not the same person. So, I mean, that could also be like when you say right person, wrong time, that very well could have been that you're in different stages of your life and that is a different person that you're seeing. So, like, let's say that maybe there was a girl that I dated 5 years ago who is a different person today and I'm a different person today. And then we think, oh, let's give it a shot again and it's healthier. That is another case of right person, wrong time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because we are like we as human beings, we are meant to change, we are meant to evolve. And if you're not doing that, then well, I don't know. That might not be healthy, um but yeah, essentially like if I look back the person that I was in high school, I actually do have like a sort of scenario for this. You know, I was kind of talking to this person in high school, but things were kind of complicated in the way like it didn't work out. And then now that we're both post college and in the real world, we had mentioned like possibly we don't live in the same place, but we had mentioned like possibly like revisiting that again. And I'm like totally open to it because we are different people. And just because it didn't work out that one time doesn't mean it can't whenever you are a completely changed person. I am, if I were to visit my high school self, I probably would not recognize her. She would be like, "Who the hell are you?" If she saw me, you know? Um, so I definitely think timeline is an interesting way to kind of think about it too, in the sense of how we change as people.
Yeah, and I mean, like another case could also be like a coworker. Maybe you just get a good vibe from your coworker. You guys really like each other, but you also don't want to mix work with your personal lives. So that's another case where you and your coworker could be right person, wrong time.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I definitely agree with that, especially um, you know, being in theater for myself, I find a lot of people have showmances, you know, is what we call them. And you know, it's fun and great for the month or two you're in a contract, but then you get out of the contract and you're like, "Oh, do we actually like each other? Is it going to continue and we're not seeing each other every day because, you know, we're traveling and all of that stuff." So it's kind of interesting to, you know, tackle it in that in the professional sense as well. Because it does create, because what if you do break up while you're in the middle of this acting contract, then what's the tension going to be like on stage? You don't want that to affect, of course, in an office setting, it's still going to be, you know, the same way of like what's the tension going to be like in the office. So
Right.
yeah.
So I guess like another thing I want to bring up, this is something that we brought up in a few episodes in the past about if a guy and a girl can be just friends without at least one of them thinking about being with the other. And we've agreed that yeah, there's been times that you will think about it and then be like, "Oh, I can't do that." Or there might be a time that you're like, "Yeah, I don't see it with that person." But something that I think is debatable, or I don't think this is debatable at all, actually. Do you think guy best friend and girl best friend can be just friends without at least one of them thinking about being with the other?
I think yes, 100%. Um, I won't say, okay, I guess maybe not 100% because every guy and girl best friend I talk to, even my guy best friend that I have, um, we're like, I'm not gonna lie, like, yeah, we took a second and we were like, what would it be like dating this person? And then we're like, ew, absolutely not. That feels like a sin. No way, Jose. Like, not gonna happen. Um, but I definitely think that you can be girls and guy best friends. I mean, I'm friends with so many people that I don't see an issue with it because I don't, you know, I'm not one to look at somebody and be like, yes, I immediately want to jump those bones, you know? Um, so I just, I don't know. I understand in some instances, I guess, you know, if you did have a, say you had a girl best friend that was constantly pining after you, wanting to be with you, and that was like you could tell that was her only intention, then yeah, probably not like, hey, we should just be friends, like whatever. But it might be, detrimental to her because she really wants this like relationship, and you're like, this is all I can give you. I don't know what to say. So,
Yeah, so I mean, like I have a girl best friend and I had a girl best friend in the past, and with the girl best friend I used to have, I'll admit there was one point when I first met her that I thought, "Oh, maybe we could do this." And then I was like, after getting to know her, I was like, "Yeah, you are definitely not what I am looking for in a relationship."
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I was talking about with my guy best friend. He's like when I first met him, I was like, hmm, maybe, I don't know. And then you get to know a person more. We were in school together, so we were working on a project together and hanging out like a lot to work on this project. But I was just like, the more I was like, no. And then now that it's been like 3 years of us being best friends, we talked about it the other night. We both were like, he was like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like I was thinking about that too, and I was like, absolutely not. Like we just love each other in this friendship way. Um, so I don't see an issue with it at all.
Okay.
Like he might be he might be one of my bridesmaids at my wedding. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, I do also feel like two people who are that close to each other and are not just friends, but really good friends. I feel like at least one of them had to have thought about it.
Right. And I mean, it's our it's our natural instinct to think about that. Sometimes, unfortunately, it is our instinct to think about that. Um, but thinking about it just in general versus thinking about it and pursuing it is a different story. And I think if it's the thinking about it and it crosses that pursuing it threshold, then it gets a little bit iffy. Um, But if you're just like thinking about it, like you're going to, it's natural human nature.
Right. Okay. So here's one that we brought up in the first couple of episodes that I did. Um, do you think a guy should pay on the first date?
So I think, this depends. So as a woman, it's hard to be like a guy should definitely pay for me, da, 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 because I'm not gonna lie, I've been on a lot of first dates. I've had a lot of first dates paid for. Is the free food nice? Yes. However, I'm not expecting that. If I'm going somewhere and I'm expecting to have a good time with this person, I'm willing to pay for myself. Like, I'm not going to go on this date if I'm not prepared to say, okay, I might drop X amount of money on this meal or this like mini golf ticket or like, whatever you're doing. I'm not going to go if I'm not willing to pay. If I'm not interested enough in the person where I'll pay for myself, then I won't go. However, I do think it is very kind. It is very respectful. However, the expectation of it, I think, is can kind of be a detriment to the dating society because if a guy, I mean, you as a guy, like if you're going out, you're like, okay, yes, I have like 5 first dates this week. You're about to drop so much money if you are expected to pay every single time. And no wonder dating is not working out. And no wonder guys are like seen as assholes because like they're paying all this money. Nothing's working out. Now, I mean, if they're going on a date and they're like, okay, I'm paying for this, so I expect you to blah, 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 then yeah, you are an asshole. but, um, but yeah, no, I again, when I'm going into a first date, I don't set expectations, expectations like that. At least I expect them to be a decent person. I expect them to, whatever. But the expectation of paying is it's kind of cliche. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, again, I will not go on a date if I'm not interested enough to pay for myself. And if it gets paid for, I'm grateful and it's very kind. And, I'm not going to be mad.
So I asked this question in my first two episodes, one with a whole group of girls and then again with a whole group of guys, just to
Mm.
get two different perspectives here. And the girls were basically saying kind of what you said, which is that it shows that he's mature, it shows that he's respectful. And so I was like, I can agree with that. I mean, it definitely does show if a guy pays, then he is. Another thing the guys mentioned was that it could be that, yes, but also maybe just the guy has money to throw around.
So, yeah, yeah,
Or he's trying to get one step closer into being more intimate, is what I'll say.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I was saying. It's that, and that's the struggle I think a lot of people are facing. I was going to say a lot of people are facing today and like nowadays, but it's been forever. It's like men expecting something in return or whatever. And I hate to make the generalization, but handful enough of men do it. You got to be mad at them. So, um, but yeah, no, I don't expect a man to pay. But yes, of course, if they want to show me that they're financially stable and it's not a problem to treat a gal to a date, then I'll take it.
Another thing that the guys mentioned was that it also depends, like, first of all, how much do I care about this girl? How did I meet this girl? And where are we going? So, like, one person said, like, is this where I can see this going, like, in a good direction, or is this just some girl I met off of Tinder?
Exactly. Yeah. I guess it is the situation of that because yeah, if you are like naturally organically like say you're hanging out with a group of friends and one of your friends brings a friend and you're like, "Oh," then that's kind of a different level of meeting there versus if you're like, "Okay, on Tinder, you don't know the expectation, you don't know what the other person's mindset was when they made that account, when whatever. So it's like, do I want to pay this money if I'm never going to see this person again? So I definitely understand that. I think it is definitely a situational thing.
Yeah, and it's also like, are we going to some five-star restaurant or are we going to Chipotle? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, it depends on the vibe of it all.
okay, I want to get your take on this. So, I don't know if you've seen this video, but there is a woman on TikTok who said, and I quote, if a man can't spend 75 to $100 on a first date, he shouldn't be dating.
That's wild. Um, I mean, yeah, if you're dating like one person at a time, if you're, I don't know, if you're going on like one date a month, yeah, I guess, but I wouldn't say you shouldn't be dating. That's just such a shallow mindset that I can't like get behind. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, like, this girl also said, like, oh, like, you know, girls in their early 20s are setting the example for, like, women, but it's like, or like dating. And I'm like, you're talking about college students. Like, are you saying, like, what I'll say about this is something that my cousin told me that if this is like, if you're living in New York in your mid 20s and, you know, you've got like a place to live and all, and let's say you go to a restaurant, then yeah, 75 to 100 is expected because I mean, New York is expensive. And like I think one of my friends also brought up like yeah, if you go to New York, if you go to a restaurant, burgers are like 20 bucks. Let's say you both get a burger, that's 40 right there. Maybe you both get a drink and then there's appetizers and everything plus tip. Yeah, that sounds expected that 75 to 100 is going to
Yeah.
happen. But if you're talking about a college student who makes $12 an hour and you expect him to blow an entire paycheck on a date,
Yeah.
that is that's different.
That's a little berserk. Yeah, because I remember and when I was in college, my last year, yeah, I was going on dates, a few, whatever, and sometimes they would pay, sometimes they wouldn't. I think most of the time they paid, but again, we weren't going to like five-star classy places. We were going to like Buffalo Wild Wings, getting two appetizers and sodas. Like we weren't going insane because again, my mindset, if I'm going on a date, I am going to prepare to pay for myself just in case. You never know. And, if I am going out and I'm spending like $20 on a meal, that would be like, oh my God, I'm spending $20 on a meal. I could just spend this $20 on like so many groceries. Like I could go buy a bunch of frozen chicken nuggets for this. Um, but so yes, I definitely think that setting girls in their early 20s setting the bar or whatever for dating is a little crazy because yeah, you are dating college students or if they're not in college, someone who just moved out of their parents' house and is trying to be whatever. Again, if you are in a big city, mid 20s post college, you have a place to live, you have the financial stability to be able to do that, then sure, go crazy, do whatever, but no, we are not financially stable. I don't know when I'll be financially stable. So, but at least now that I am working, I can expect to spend more than $20 and I'm not gonna like be heartbroken about it.
So another thing she mentioned was that because girls go through all this trouble for going on a first date, stuff like getting their nails done, buying a new outfit, getting their hair done. Now, yes, I know that's expensive, but I just want to ask, do girls do that on every first date they have?
Um, I would say I would say a lot of girls, yes. Me, I am one to just like pick a cute outfit for my closet. I'm not one for a new outfit. If I'm feeling fancy enough, I'll do my nails. Now a lot of girls like do need to get their nails done because they got some bad nails. I have really like strong and durable nails, so I'm good with it just a file and they look good. I also just don't care enough to like change my appearance or just go crazy. But yeah, I would say a lot of girls do go through um a lot of mm, I don't want to say a lot of trouble for a first date, but we do try to look our best and we try to look good and presentable and very like attractive, you know. Um, However, if I've ever used dating profiles or anything, I just put very natural pictures on there because again, I don't care. And if you're not gonna appreciate me when I'm looking like that, then you're not gonna appreciate me when I'm like looking glam, you know? So I I have no issue with showing up looking natural and looking whatever, but I do know a lot of girls do go through that trouble. And I think it's just a personal preference. Like I don't think it's a judgment on anybody, you want to feel your best. So,
Yeah, and I mean, not saying this is targeted towards you specifically,
yeah.
but like something that I think I actually reacted to the girl who made that video, and I was saying like, you know, yeah, I mean, girls will go through that trouble, but like, are you saying that like if I asked to split the check after you spent all this money, but it's like, you can spend all that money on your hair and your makeup and your nails and everything, but when it comes to like a $20 meal, you can't pay for that?
Yeah, if it is a cheap check and and I am going out and I'm like, okay, I could spend like 20, $40 right now, no big deal, whatever. Um, I don't think that's a big deal. However, if we're going out and you surprise me, take me to this fancy restaurant where we end up spending like $500, I'm not prepared to spend like $200 now. But yeah, if we're going to whatever, like Chipotle, whatever, then I can totally pay for my own. Like, I don't care. Now, if I do get super glammed up and everything, and I know we're going to a fancy place, then maybe that's something to like talk about ahead of time. And I'm like, I'm not opposed to talking about ahead of time either. A lot of people are just like, oh, let's go on this date and then let's awkwardly stare at the bill to see what we're doing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like something else I mentioned, I think it was in my second episode. So my sophomore year, I took this girl to Steak and Shake, and it was literally just I picked her up, we went to Steak and Shake, got a couple of milkshakes. I paid for the whole thing. They're $5 milkshakes. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
mind just doing that. And then we just sat in my car and ate our milkshakes, and then I just took her home, and you know, I still talk to her, and we're
Yeah.
still on good terms. But like, that's I guess another thing I want to point out is that again, I didn't spend 75 to $100 on this date,
Yeah.
and I didn't. We still both had a good time, and obviously we still talk to each other.
Yeah. You're
So
still on good terms. Yeah.
yeah, and so that's why like another thing that she mentioned was like, oh, one day like this guy asked me to go to a dog park with him, and I was like, F that, I'm not going to that. And I'm like, what's wrong with a dog park? If you both have dogs, why not go to a dog park?
Right, exactly. You gotta make sure your dogs like each other, feel the vibe. But yeah, I don't think a first date has to be fancy at all. If somebody were like, "Hey, let's just go to Steak and Shake and like chat in the car," like that is my vibe through and through. Like I'd much rather that than, go through the trouble of 10 pounds of makeup and curling my hair to go to like a super fancy restaurant that where we're just gonna like sit and pretend we're super fancy people. Like I'm the goofiest dang person I know. Maybe not, but I'm not gonna be this like fancy fake person on a first date. So if it's something real, like going on a picnic to a park or going to a dog park, like if I have a dog and the guy I'm talking to has a dog, as long as our dogs are friendly with other dogs, I'm totally fine with our dogs meeting. Like that's totally fine with me because then it gets me out of the house, it gets the dog out of the house, and I'm going on a first date. Um, dates can be so simple, and I think we've resorted to such a cliche like need to go to a fancy restaurant or need to go to the movies and blah 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 blah. Like, no, I just need somewhere I can sit with you and talk and be myself. And it doesn't matter where that is.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I mean, with all the girls that I've been friends with and how many people I've given advice to, I feel like I need to bring this up. So, does it like in my opinion, I feel like I can go to a place just like I don't have to be too dressed up unless we're going to like a fancy restaurant. Like one of my friends was going to a hotel. I think it was the bar at a hotel just to celebrate a new job for her. And she was like, "Oh, what should I wear?" I was like, "I feel like just regular clothes are fine." Like,
Yeah.
but like, she went on a first date to a steakhouse and wasn't sure what to wear. And like in a lot of these cases, I'm just like, I mean, maybe this is just me, but I honestly would be fine with a girl wearing a hoodie and sweatpants. Like,
Yeah, I definitely, of course, I think it depends on where you go for sure. I dress to the vibe of the place to go. I've been on so many first dates just wearing jeans, just wearing, like not like yoga pants or like joggers, like workout pants. What I'm like, I think they're cute enough. I'll just wear it. I don't care. Um, but I'm like, I still want to be comfortable. I don't want to be like in this super tight dress and I'm like this the whole time trying to like make sure I'm comfortable, make sure my straps are up, like that's so awful. Like be fidgeting just the whole date. If I am going to some fancy steakhouse where I know this bill's about to be like $300, then yeah, I'll probably wear a cute dress or something. Um, but yeah, if I'm just like going to hang out at a bar or like the Buffalo Wild Wings, like I said earlier, I jeans and a cute top. And by cute, I just wear like a cropped tank top. Like that's literally all.
Yeah, and I mean, like when I took this girl to Steak and Shake, I'll admit I was wearing a varsity jacket with a crew neck and sweatpants, and
Yeah,
again, we just sat in my car, so it's like I don't think it really matters what we're wearing.
right.
And I guess like it's also just, I mean, I'll admit like the girl I took to Steak and Shake was someone who I had been friends with for about a year and a half, 2 years. We know each other, we're comfortable with each
Yeah,
other. We don't care what we're wearing. We just wanted to spend time with each other.
yeah,
But I mean, also, I would kind of understand if this is a first date and you're meeting this person for the first time, you don't know what to wear.
right.
But
Yeah, I
like,
definitely have had some first dates where I sit down with my roommates and I'm like, guys, we are having a fashion show right now. And I would like come out of my room and be like, all right, here's the vibe. We're going to this restaurant, and we're just gonna like walk around, whatever. What do we think? And they're like, this might be a little too fancy. This might be too casual, and we like, if you're really like meeting somebody for the first time and you're liking the vibe, you're gonna ask the questions about it. You're gonna figure out what to do. And I did have a first date once where it was kind of crazy. He didn't drive, but I did. And so I was like, you know what? I like our vibe enough. I'll come pick you up. I don't care. That's fine. We were going to like a little arts market in the area, and I show up and he is wearing a hoodie and sweatpants. And I was like, going to an arts market, like you don't want to be like a little more cute. Like, I don't know. It's hot out, a t-shirt and jeans, I would understand. But you're showing up in sweatpants and then he was complaining about being hot. And I was like, well, you wear sweatpants. And he was like, oh, I wanted to be comfortable. I was like, okay, maybe. And we went to that arts market and then we did eat at like a not super fancy restaurant, but it was a waterside restaurant. So it was still like he just didn't match the vibe. And I was like, what is going on? Um, so I don't know. I feel like match the vibe of where you're going. And then as you said, depends on how your relationship is with the person. Um, because it is like, you did know this person 2 or 3 years. So of course you're not going to care. You just want to spend time with each other. If you're meeting somebody on a dating app and like, this is the first time you're meeting, you show up and they're sweatpants and you're like, this isn't like we're just Netflix and chilling, like we're going somewhere. I don't know.
the last thing I want to bring up is what are your expectations for a first date?
Exercise. That's crazy. I literally just said it earlier. Like, I don't set very many. However, I do have some. Um, Expectations, I'd say, of course, I would say completely being your 100% true, authentic self. Because I find so many people mask who they really are on a first date just because they're trying to impress. They're trying to, get this like image of what they think this person wants. But what I want is I want to see who you are when you are being goofy as hell or you're being, just who you are. I want to see the true like person in front of me because too many dates I have gone on and they've just sat in silence because they don't really know what to talk about. When I'm like, I know you have so many topics on your mind. Like, just say it. I don't care. Just say it. Um, but yeah, of course, like honesty, big one. Um, I obviously expect you to be a kind human being. If we are at a restaurant, respect the server. If we are wherever we are and you're interacting with anybody, not just me, like being respectful, being kind, all of that, like kindness is so important. I'm like trying to think through expectations. It's been a very long time since I've been on a first date, so I'm like, I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, like, shoot, I remember what I was gonna say now. So, yeah, that I can completely agree with that. I like how you bring up like some people try to mask who they are at first, and I can even confess that when I was like, I mean, I'm coming to the end of college now, but when I was first in college, I remember that I was with this girl, and every time I saw her, I was trying to clean up my act. Like I would swear less. I would, I wouldn't be the same way around her that I was around, like I would say, my boys.
Yeah.
But then after we just got more comfortable with each other, I think actually the first time she heard me swear was I've known this girl since beginning of freshman year, one of the first friends I made here, and the first time she heard me swear was actually 2 months into sophomore year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, I definitely just want to see like true authentic selves because I won't lie, when I was dating while I was in college and I was fresh out of a 4 year relationship and I was just like was dating and I would try to put on this front of like I'm so like blah 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 blah, blah, but I'm like I just exist. Like I am who I am and I'm chill and that's kind of what I go into with dating now. It's like I don't care if you like me, you like me. If you don't, then we don't have to hang out.
Right. All right. I hope you guys like that episode. Link to all my socials are going to be in the description. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode.